A strange howl in the dark forest. The wind moved slowly through the dark trees. Strange glowing plants lit up small parts of the alien forest. The night on planet Velkani was silent, until a long, deep howl echoed through the darkness. Jack Morgan stopped walking. He had come out alone to check a broken signal tower 2 miles from base. He was a trained explorer from Earth, strong and smart. But even he felt uneasy now. The howl wasn't from any animal he knew. It didn't sound angry. It sounded lonely. Jack turned on his shoulder light and slowly moved forward. His boots crunched over fallen leaves and soft moss. The forest here was wild and untouched. No human had walked this path before. Suddenly, his wrist scanner beeped. Unknown life form detected. He frowned. How close? 70 meters, moving slowly. Life signs weak. Jack paused. He knew the rules. Don't engage strange life forms alone. But this planet had shown peaceful behavior so far. And something about the howl. It didn't feel dangerous. It felt like a cry for help. He moved toward the signal. After 10 minutes, Jack found a small clearing. The scanner stopped beeping. In the center of the clearing lay a creature, half human, half wolf in shape. It had smooth gray fur, long ears, and a slim body. Its arms looked almost human. Its eyes were closed, and its breathing was fast and shallow. Jack's breath caught in his throat. It was a female, wounded, weak. One leg was bleeding, and her side looked bruised. She wore a torn cloth-like garment, almost like a hunter's wrap. Her long tail twitched slightly. Jack slowly knelt down. "Hey, can you hear me?" To his shock, the creature opened her eyes, bright golden and full of fear. She tried to growl, but the sound came out as a weak cough. "I'm not here to hurt you," Jack said softly, raising his hands. "I'm human. You're safe now." She stared at him, blinking. Then her lips moved slightly. "You human?" she whispered. Jack's eyes widened. She could speak, not perfectly, but clearly. "Yes," he said. "I can help, but we need to move." She shook her head. "Too weak. They hunt me." Jack looked around. Who was hunting her? "Look," he said firmly. "You'll die out here. I'm taking you back to my base. No arguments." She stared at him a moment longer, then gave a small nod. Her eyes closed again. Jack pulled out his emergency blanket and carefully wrapped her in it. She was lighter than he expected. Gently, he lifted her into his arms and began the walk back. The trip back was slow. Jack had to move carefully through the forest. Strange glowing bugs floated by, and far in the distance he heard more howls, but not like the first one. These were sharper, more aggressive. Jack held her tighter. When he finally reached the edge of the base, he tapped his comm. "Base, this is Jack. I need medical right now. I found a wounded alien female, intelligent and able to speak." There was silence, then a voice replied, "Bring her in. Securely. We're opening medbay." Jack hurried through the gates. Several officers stared in surprise. No one had seen a creature like this before. Inside the medical room, he gently placed her on the bed. The med team began scanning her. Jack didn't move, he just watched her face. Even in pain, there was something graceful and proud about her. After some time, her eyes opened again. She looked at him. "You saved me," she whispered. Jack gave a small smile. "You're safe now." Her eyes filled with tears, but she quickly looked away. Then, in a voice barely louder than a breath, she said something that gave Jack chills. "Because of you, I'm not alone anymore." Jack didn't know what to say. He stood there, stunned. That night, Jack sat outside the medical room thinking. Who was she? Why was she being hunted? How could she speak his language? But most of all, why did he feel this strange pull toward her? He had no answers yet. But one thing was clear. His life had just changed forever. Jack didn't sleep that night. The strange alien girl was stable in medbay, but his mind couldn't rest. Her words echoed in his head. Because of you, I'm not alone anymore. Morning came with fog rolling over the hills of Velkani. The base remained quiet, but inside, curiosity grew. Everyone had heard by now. Jack had brought in a talking alien wolf girl, something the humans had never seen or imagined before. At sunrise, Jack entered the medical room again. The doctors had scanned her all night. She was healing quickly, too quickly for a normal creature. She was sitting upright now, her golden eyes watching the world carefully like a wild animal that didn't fully trust its surroundings. Jack stepped closer. She didn't flinch. You're awake, he said gently. I never sleep deep, she replied. Not anymore. Jack sat down across from her, keeping his voice calm. What's your name? She hesitated. Then she spoke with a bit of pride in her voice. Kira, daughter of Clan Velnar. Jack raised an eyebrow. Sounds royal. I was supposed to be, she replied, looking away. Before they called me a traitor. Jack leaned forward. Why? What did you do? I refused to become a prize. Her eyes narrowed. They wanted to give me to the strongest warrior in the blood games. I said no, so they hunted me. Jack sat back, surprised. You ran, alone, through that forest? Yes. I hid. For days. Then I heard a voice in my mind. It felt warm. Her eyes met his. I followed it. It was yours. Jack felt a chill. Wait, my voice? In your head? Kira nodded slowly. Your kind is strange. But our kind, the Velkani, have a bond sense. It is rare. It only activates with someone worthy. Jack stared at her. You're saying, you bonded with me? She tilted her head. Not fully. Not yet. But the bond has begun. It called me to you. Jack felt like the air had thickened. That's not normal. No, Kira agreed. It's not. Outside the room, the base commander, Lieutenant Rena, watched the two through the window. Sir, a young officer asked, should we report this to Central Command? Rena shook her head. Not yet. Let's see where this goes. The girl speaks, reasons, and learns fast. If she truly bonded with a human, that changes everything. Later that day, Jack gave Kira some human food, fruit bars and boiled rice. She sniffed it, then bit carefully. Her sharp teeth made him nervous, but she chewed gently. Too sweet, she said, but better than raw bark rat. Is that something from your world? Harry. Screams a lot, she answered flatly. Jack chuckled. Sounds like a treat. As the sun dipped low, he took her outside to the edge of the forest behind the base. I thought you'd want to feel the air, he said. She knelt in the grass, eyes closed, nose twitching. This place smells wrong. Jack raised an eyebrow. Wrong? Not like before, she said. Too many footsteps, too many eyes. He turned and looked back. Several base workers stood watching them from afar. Some whispered, others just stared. She's not a pet, Jack called out. Stop treating her like one. Kira stood and gently touched Jack's arm. It's okay, she said softly. They are just afraid. It's what prey does when they see something they don't understand. But you're not prey, Jack, said. Kira gave a tiny smile. No, I'm not. That night something strange happened. Kira had been given a small room to rest. Jack was checking base systems when an alarm rang out. Intrusion detected. North wall. Unknown movement. Jack rushed to the control room. The cameras showed 3 tall figures moving fast through the forest. Gray armor, glowing eyes, long claws. Kira saw the screen and froze. They found me. Who are they? Jack asked. Hunters, she whispered. My own kind. Elite trackers. Once they catch scent, they never stop. Then we have to get you out of here. No, she said, stepping forward. If I run, they'll follow. Forever. But if I fight, this ends tonight. Jack stared at her, unsure. Then Kira looked at him with fire in her eyes. I may be a traitor to them, but I have something they don't. Jack raised an eyebrow. What? Her voice dropped into a growl. You. The forest behind the base was burning, not from fire, but from motion. Branches cracked, dirt flew. Sharp howls echoed like knives, cutting through the wind. 3 armored Velkani hunters moved fast, too fast for any human to follow. Their eyes glowed red, their claws glinted in the dark. They had picked up Kira's scent, and they were not here to talk. Inside the base, alarms screamed. Soldiers grabbed weapons. Lights turned red. Jack burst into Kira's room. They're almost here, he shouted. We have to move. Kira stood still, her back to him. She was wrapping her tail in a cloth belt, sharpening one of the base knives with a steel plate. They want me, Jack, not you. He stepped closer. And I'm not leaving you. You said I'm part of this now, right? Kira turned, eyes fierce. Yes, you are. And that makes you a target too. A boom echoed through the wall. The outer gate had been torn down. They had seconds left. Jack grabbed a backpack, threw in rations and tools. We'll take the West Ridge. The caves there go straight to the mountain passes. Kira looked at him surprised. You studied the terrain? Of course, Jack said. Unlike your people, we don't rely on just instinct. Kira gave a sharp smirk. That's why you're still alive. The forest was no longer quiet. The chase had begun. Jack and Kira moved through shadows, breath shallow, feet light. The forest had turned into a trap, a hunting ground. Every time they paused, Jack could hear the faint click of claws hitting stone. Kira, he whispered, what if they catch us? She stopped beside him, crouched low. If they catch me, I die. If they catch you, they'll make you watch first. Jack's stomach turned. They moved faster. Suddenly, one of the hunters dropped from the trees in front of them. Tall, armored, cruel-eyed, he roared, charging straight at Kira. Without thinking, Jack raised his pulse gun and fired. The blast hit the hunter in the shoulder, throwing him into a... The snowstorm came fast. The cave where Jack and Kira hid shook with each gust of frozen wind. Icy dust coated their hair and gear. But it wasn't the cold that made Jack shiver. It was Kira. She hadn't spoken in hours. Her golden eyes stared at the flickering fire, her arms wrapped tight around her middle. Her breathing had changed, slower, heavier. Her body trembled, not from fear, but from something deeper. Something strange. Jack crouched beside her. You okay? She didn't answer at first. Then, very slowly, she looked at him. There was a deep worry in her eyes. Not the kind that came from wounds or war, but something more personal. More vulnerable. Kira, Jack said softly. Talk to me. She swallowed hard. My body, it's changing. Jack blinked. What do you mean? Kira hesitated. Her voice was barely louder than the wind outside. I think I'm pregnant. Silence fell in the cave. Jack's mind went blank. He sat frozen for a full 5 seconds before saying, Wait, what? Kira looked away, her ears folding down. My species is different from yours. Our biology reacts when we form a true bond. Emotion becomes physical. And you helped me, protected me, chose me. Jack's heart was racing. But we didn't. I know, she said. Not the human way, but the bond formed anyway. Our kind don't need touch. We connect from the soul outward. He stood up and ran his fingers through his hair, pacing. So you're saying your body decided you're ready to have pups because of me? Kira nodded. Jack sat back down, trying to breathe. Pregnant. Alien pups, his DNA. Nothing in his Earth training prepared him for this. I need to scan you, he finally said. opening his wrist panel. She nodded and leaned forward. The scanner blinked, buzzed, then pinged. Life forms. Detected. 3. Developing. Mixed. DNA present. Jack stared at the screen. 3. 3. He repeated out loud. Kira looked down at her stomach and whispered, "Our litter." Outside, the storm howled louder. The cave trembled as snow piled up at the entrance. Kira closed her eyes and leaned back. "It's early, but I can already feel them. Strong, wild. Like you." Jack gave a short laugh. "I'm not wild." "You are," she said with a soft smile. "You left your kind behind. You fought for someone you barely knew. You jumped into danger without thinking." He sighed and looked at the fire. "I was just doing the right thing." She placed her clawed hand on his. "That's what makes you worthy." As the storm calmed, Jack prepared a small meal. Warm protein paste and heated juice. Kira barely ate. Her body was shaking again. "Are you hurting?" Jack asked. She gave a slow nod. "Not pain. Pressure. Like my bones are shifting. My kind. Changes during early pregnancy. To protect the young." Jack stared at her. "Your bones are changing?" "Yes, my heart too. It's growing bigger." Jack nearly dropped the food. "What?" "For the pups. So I can fight. And love harder." Jack was speechless. In the human world, pregnancy meant fatigue, mood swings, cravings. In Kira's world, it meant evolution. Suddenly, the air in the cave shifted. Kira's ears twitched. She stood quickly, eyes sharp. "He's close." Jack stood too, grabbing his weapon. "The last hunter?" She nodded. "Yes, I feel him. He's watching us, waiting for weakness." Jack turned toward the cave entrance. Snow had stopped falling. The outside world was dead silent. "I'll fight him," Kira said. Jack stepped in front of her. "Not alone." "You don't understand," she said firmly. "He's not just a hunter. He's my half-brother. He trained me. He taught me how to kill. He knows all my moves." Jack clenched his fists. "Then we'll surprise him with something." "New." Kira tilted her head. "What?" "We fight as a pack." That night, Kira curled close to the fire, her breathing slow and deep. Jack stayed awake, sitting beside her with his weapon ready. He looked at her peaceful face, then at her stomach. 3 pups. Part human, part her. Jack had come to Velkani to study wild plants and report weather. Now he was hiding in a cave with a pregnant alien warrior. The future was uncertain. The next fight could be their last. But somehow, he didn't feel fear. He felt something else. Purpose. The fire had gone cold. Jack opened his eyes slowly. He hadn't meant to fall asleep. He had been guarding Kira all night, weapon in hand. But his body had given in. Beside him, Kira stirred. Her breathing was different now, short, sharp, almost forced. Jack sat up fast. "Kira?" She opened her golden eyes, sweat beading across her furred forehead. "They're coming." Jack froze. She didn't mean the pups. She meant him, the final hunter. Outside, the snow had stopped. Silence wrapped the mountain like a grave. Then a sound. Not a howl. Not a roar. Just a crunch. Soft footsteps on frozen earth. But it wasn't slow. It was confident. Steady. Like death was walking toward them on 2 legs. Jack helped Kira sit up. "We have to go." Kira grabbed his wrist, firm but gentle. "I can't." "Move fast now. I'll slow you down." "I don't care." "You should." Jack looked into her eyes. "If I leave you, what's the point of surviving?" She stared at him a moment, then slowly nodded. "Then help me stand." Jack wrapped one arm around her. She was heavier than before. Her body was still changing, adapting for the pups. But her spirit was sharp. Her eyes glowed with fire. "We make our stand here," she said. Jack looked around the cave. "No, we prepare our stand here." Using what little time they had, Jack set traps. tripwires made from climbing rope, flashbangs hidden behind rock piles, energy spikes stuck into frozen logs. Kira guided him with her knowledge of the hunter's instincts. "He'll test the air first," she said. "He'll try to scare you with silence. Do not show fear." Jack smiled grimly. Fear is just fuel now. Night fell. The stars above Velkani blinked like eyes watching from the dark sky. Jack sat beside Kira, their backs to the cave wall. She was holding her side. Her body was stiff. "Pain?" he asked. She nodded. "They're moving." Jack placed his hand gently on her belly. A soft pulse pushed back like a heartbeat. "You're not alone," Jack whispered. Kira closed her eyes. For a moment, there was peace. Then the cave entrance exploded. A wall of snow blasted in. Jack shielded Kira as the storm settled, and through the white mist a figure stepped inside, 7 feet tall, armor covered in claw marks, a red scar across his jaw, eyes glowing like fire. He didn't growl. He didn't speak. He just watched. Kira's voice was dry. "His name is Volrek." Jack raised his weapon. Volrek looked at him, then ignored him. His eyes locked on Kira. "You are still alive," he said. His voice was deep and cold, like broken stone. "I breathe because I chose freedom," Kira growled. "You chose betrayal. I chose honor." Volrek stepped forward. Jack fired. The bolt hit Volrek in the chest, but barely moved him. His armor sparked, but he didn't flinch. Jack fired again. Volrek blocked it with his arm and lunged forward. Suddenly, boom! A flashbang went off beside him, blinding the cave with white light. Volrek stumbled. Kira stood, eyes glowing with fury. "This ends tonight." Jack rushed in, swinging a metal rod, aiming for Volrek's legs. It connected, but Volrek grabbed the rod mid-swing and flung Jack across the cave. Jack hit the wall, coughing hard, ribs screaming. Kira leapt. She slashed, punched, kicked, each move filled with rage. Volrek grunted, bleeding from his jaw now. "You got stronger," he growled. "I got a reason to fight," she snapped. Jack crawled back to his weapon. His vision blurred. He saw Volrek raise a blade toward Kira. "No!" Jack roared and tackled Volrek from behind. The two crashed into the fire pit, embers flying. Jack felt claws tear through his jacket. Blood spilled. He didn't care. He grabbed a small EMP grenade from his belt. Volrek growled, lifting Jack into the air. Jack smiled. "Here, catch this." He shoved the EMP against Volrek's chest and activated it. Flash. The blast shorted the hunter's armor. Volrek dropped, body spasming. Kira didn't waste time. She struck one final blow, a kick to the throat that knocked Volrek cold. Silence. Only the crackle of dying embers remained. Minutes later, Jack sat on the floor, bleeding. Kira crawled to him. "You're hurt." "I've had worse first dates." She laughed softly, then gasped. Her eyes went wide. "Kira?" "They're coming." Jack's heart stopped. "The pups?" She nodded, gripping his hand. "It's time." The fire in the cave was low, its light soft and red, like the last heartbeat of a dying star. Kira lay on her side, sweat matting her silver fur. Her claws gripped the dirt floor. Her breathing was heavy, sharp, almost animal, but her eyes stayed, locked on Jack. "They're coming," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Now!" Jack knelt beside her, pressing a cloth against the wound on his side. He was bleeding. Weak. But his focus was fully on her. "You're not alone," he said, softly. "I'm right here." Kira's hand squeezed his. Outside, the wind howled again. Not just weather, something else, something moving, watching. A second enemy. Jack checked the motion sensor. It blinked once, twice, then flatlined. "Something's jamming the signal," Kira groaned. "Not now. Not another one." Jack didn't answer. He picked up his gun and limped toward the cave's mouth. Then he stopped. Footsteps, crunching snow, heavy, deliberate. Jack aimed his weapon at the entrance, teeth gritted. If you're here for her, turn around. You'll never get past me, but no one came. Instead, a howl answered him, low, long, familiar. Kira gasped. That's not a hunter. That's a guardian howl. Jack turned to her. A what? She cried out, clutching her belly. Some of our kind. They don't follow war. They follow the old ways, the protectors. I thought they were gone. The howl grew closer. Then a shadow entered the cave, tall, broad-shouldered, covered in tribal paint and scars. The figure dropped to one knee and bowed before Kira. I followed your trail, daughter of Velnar, he said in a deep, soft voice. I felt the bond's call. Kira was too tired to speak, but tears filled her eyes. Jack stepped between them. Who are you? I am Urak, the alien said. I guard the bond, and tonight, I guard you. Jack hesitated, then nodded. Then help me. She's going into labor. Time moved strangely after that. Minutes felt like hours. Kira's cries echoed against the cold stone. Her claws dug into the dirt as her body shook. Jack stayed by her side, whispering softly. You fought hunters, climbed mountains. You can do this. She gritted her teeth. They're not coming out. I feel stuck. Urak came closer, kneeling with careful grace. You're not stuck. You're transforming. Your body is reshaping for hybrid birth. It is rare. Jack looked up. Can we help? Urak reached into his cloak and took out a small glowing stone. Place this under her neck. It triggers her inner core, the ancient Velkani birthlight. Jack took the stone and slid it under Kira's neck. Suddenly, light. A warm golden glow spread across her chest. Her breathing steadied. Then her body arched and a sharp cry filled the cave. Jack grabbed her hand again. You're doing great, he whispered. Just a little more. Kira groaned. They're strong, like you. Then one more push and silence, followed by a tiny whimper, then another, then a third. Jack blinked. 3 small, furred, wriggling pups. One had silver fur like Kira. One had short, smooth hair like a human baby. The third was a perfect blend. Kira looked down at them, tears sliding from her eyes. They're beautiful, she said softly. Jack smiled. They're wild little miracles. Urak gently stepped back, placing herbs in the fire. The scent calmed the air. Kira cradled the pups in her arms. Her body shook, but this time from joy. Jack sat beside her, arm wrapping around her shoulder. You did it, he said. She looked at him with tired, glowing eyes. We did. Outside, more figures appeared, tribal Velkani stepping from the shadows. They bowed their heads in silence. Urak turned to them. The bond lives. The bloodline is reborn. The war path ends here. Later that night, Jack stood at the cave mouth. Snow fell lightly, like ash. He looked at the stars, his heart full. He came to this world alone. Now, he was part of something bigger. Not just love. Legacy. The first morning light touched the mountains of Velkara. Inside the cave, the fire had died, but warmth remained. Kira lay curled around her newborn pups, her body shielding them, her arms cradling them close. Jack sat beside her, still silent, watching the rise and fall of her breath. 3 days had passed since the birth, and still, he hadn't left her side. The pups had grown fast, faster than any human child. One of them, the smallest with human eyes and wolf ears, had already opened her eyes. She stared up at Jack now, blinking slowly. Kira smiled, weak but proud. She watches you like you're the sun. Jack chuckled. I've been called worse. He touched the pup's tiny paw. It closed around his finger. She's strong, he whispered. Kira nodded. She'll lead one day. Jack looked at her. You mean she'll rule? Kira shook her head. No, not rule, lead. There's a difference. One forces, the other protects. Jack leaned closer. Like you. Kira looked away, tears in her eyes. I wasn't always strong. I was afraid, hunted, alone. Not anymore, Jack said gently. Now you have a pack. Outside the cave, the wind had changed. Urak, the old guardian, stood on the cliff, with 2 others. They wore tribal cloaks and carried ceremonial blades, not for war, but for oath-taking. He looked over his shoulder as Jack approached. She's recovering well, Jack said. Urak nodded. Her blood flows with new purpose. Jack hesitated. And the others? The war packs? Gone, Urak replied. Volrek's fall broke their pride. They won't return, and if they do, he tapped the hilt of his blade. They will. Answer to me. Jack looked out at the rising sun. What happens now? Urak's voice was calm. Now you choose. Choose. You are the bonded mate of a high-blood Velkani. Your children are the first of their kind. You can return to Earth, or stay and become something more. Jack didn't answer. Not yet. That night the sky turned violet with 2 moons shining high. Kira stood at the edge of the cave, her body wrapped in a dark cloak. The pups slept in a nest of furs behind her. Jack stood beside her, silent. She looked at him. They'll grow quickly, in months, not years. They'll run before they speak, climb before they crawl. He smiled. Just like their mom. She turned serious. Will you stay, Jack? He took a deep breath. The base back on the plains had already sent a recall message. Earth Command wanted him back for debriefing, promotion, awards. He had read it once and then deleted it. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a simple cord necklace and tied it around her wrist. A carved symbol hung from it, half human, half Velkani. I'm not going anywhere, he said softly. This is my pack now. Kira didn't cry. She just leaned into him and whispered something in the old Velkani tongue. We are one breath, one soul. Jack didn't understand the words, but he felt them. Weeks passed. Jack built a home from the bones of the cave and the stones of the mountain. Other Velkani began visiting, some outcasts, some elders, all curious about the pups. They brought food, gifts, stories. Not everyone accepted the union at first, but when the pups howled for the first time, 3 perfect, pure notes rising into the night sky, many fell to their knees. A new bloodline had begun and the forest knew it. One morning, Kira watched Jack training with one of the pups outside. She smiled as the smallest one tackled him to the snow. You are too soft with them, she said playfully. Jack groaned. They have claws, tiny, sharp claws. They're testing you, she said. They're learning who leads. Jack looked at her and grinned. I thought you led. Kira stood tall. I lead the wild, but you lead the heart. That night, as the stars danced above, the pack gathered around the fire. 3 pups curled between their parents. Urak sat nearby, sharpening his blade. Stories were told. Laughs were shared. And somewhere in the woods, an old hunter watched from the shadows, not with hate, but awe. He turned away and vanished into the trees, never to return. In the land where a human once walked alone, now lived an alpha. Not by blood, not by strength, but by the bond he chose to protect. A human, a warrior, a father, Jack of Velkara.